It's official. The S&P 500 entered into correction territory this week. Now, what does a correction mean? It's just a euphemism for we lost a lot of money very quickly. Year to date, the S&P 500 is down about 11%, almost 11%. And the pain does not seem to be ending anytime soon, especially with Russia finally invading Ukraine, which that just sent the market in on a massive plunge as of the morning I'm recording this video. I'm recording this on a Thursday when Russia invaded Ukraine, which even outside of that, just a perspective switch that we all need to have in this moment right now is just to realize like, yo, I am thankful that the biggest worry that I can possibly have is my stocks being down. I mean, really, we should all like take some time, pray for Ukraine. If you're a Christian, pray for Ukraine, pray for the people in that country, because in all honesty, this whole thing is so dumb from Putin. I'm not even saying Russia. I'm going to specifically look at Putin because I don't know why he's doing this, because it doesn't make any sense at all that he should be doing this. But regardless, we'll go back to just, let me give you guys some reprieve, because you're probably hearing a bunch about this whole Russia-Ukraine crisis going on right now. Let me give you some reprieve and we could just talk about stocks for a little bit. But S&P 500 is down more than 10% on the year. If we look at the Russell 3000, the NASDAQ is down almost 15% this year. So overall this year, the market has been not so good for your pockets. I mean, then again, if we look back, we've had very good 2020 and very good 2021. So giving back a little bit of it is not that bad. But regardless, the market is down. And like I said, one of the reasons is Russia invading Ukraine. But there are some other reasons. And one of my favorite writers, Ben Carlson, he put out a bunch of reasons why the stock market is down right now. We have inflation is at its highest level in 4 decades. The Fed is tightening monetary policy. We've talked about that multiple times. Growth stocks are crashing. We're in arguably the craziest housing market ever, and I know that firsthand. Oh my goodness. Interest rates are finally starting to rise again. Yup, I'm feeling that pain. There are labor market and supply chain shortages everywhere you look. You can't find the things that you need in order to get the job done that you need to get done. Even at work, we're having some of these issues show up with some of our partners. The stock market is in the midst of a correction. Yup, I just mentioned that one. And we've been in a pandemic for over 2 years now, and it's still ongoing. As a matter of fact, I was reading this morning that there's a new variant of Omicron that's starting to show up, like an Omicron specific strain, an Omicron specific variant. So there's a lot of stuff happening right now. And one of the things that we can be tempted to do during these times is to spaz out. But this is a reminder for each and every single one of us to remind every single person that, hey, calm down, take a second, sit down, relax. Don't overreact to the situations that are happening right in front of you. As Josh Brown, which is another person that I really like to hear his thoughts on a lot of the stuff that's going on in the economy, he wrote a post this morning and he said in the post, and I quote, "In moments like these, and there have been dozens of them throughout the course of my career, I spend my time reminding people," he's a financial advisor, by the way, reminding people that the only answer is to focus on the things they can control. These things include their own reaction, keeping their savings rate where it is, maintaining the disciplined investment strategy that they've already got in place, staying calm, thinking in terms of opportunity tomorrow as opposed to volatility today. It works, but you have to make it work. It takes effort to do this. Experience helps. Temperament helps. Having the rules established in advance helps. This type of market is precisely why we utilize, and he talks about something that he does with his work. But the point is, this is why so much we talked about earlier on, like risk is important. Risk is important. For some of y'all, you're learning that lesson in real time. Your portfolios is completely destroyed. Like we could talk about all these different companies that we could talk about the broad stock market, but when we dig a little bit deeper, we can see like even more specific companies within that is getting absolutely destroyed. I mean, as a matter of fact, I believe in the NASDAQ, I think 50% of the companies in the NASDAQ is down like, I think 50 or so percent from their all-time highs. 50% of the companies in there. So as we can see, we're seeing like all over the market, there's just been a broad sell-off going on everywhere. And this is the time we have to be very careful that we don't start doing too much. Ben Carlson says there are 3 things that you can do during a stock market crash or during times the market go haywire. You can either do more, you can do less, or you can do nothing. And the problem is most of us will try to do more. But the thing is, when we come to investing, I've talked about this before, more is actually less in investing. What you want to do and invest is actually do a whole lot less. You don't want to start hedging your portfolios. You don't want to start doing all the things that you may have should have done before. Now is not the time for you to start being overly active. Now is not the time for you to start doing all the things and trying to be smart and try to play the games and all this other stuff. No. Right now is probably time for you to just hold back. Because most of the time, if you don't have control in this time, you're probably going to make an emotional decision. And I've said it before, emotions are a great place for you to know where you are. This is a saying from my pastor. He says, emotions are a great place to know where you are, but they're a horrible place to tell you where you're going, or they're a horrible place for you to make decisions with. Emotions will always lead you astray. You have to be more reasonable. You have to take the time, sit back, take a second and say, wait, what is the best thing that I can possibly do right now? And for most of us, it's to absolutely do nothing. For most of us, it's to just continue doing whatever it is that we've been doing. If you're doing a dollar cost averaging plan, whether it's with your 401k or your IRA, where you're just sending a certain amount of money to get invested into the broad market, continue doing that. Now is a great time for you to continue doing that because you're able to buy stocks for cheap. If you're doing a plan where you are going to buy select companies when they hit a certain target price, continue doing that. Do not get scared when that company continues to fall lower than your target price. Keep doing it. Whatever the strategy that you had in place going into this whole market volatility, into this whole haywire situation that we're in right now, continue doing that. Stay on the path that you set for yourself. If you're trying to make all the adjustments right now, more than likely it's going to cost you a whole lot more than it's going to help you. So please, now is not the time for you to start spazzing out. Now is not the time for you to start freaking out. Now is not the time for you to start doing all the things that you're thinking like, oh, this is the way. I heard on the radio that this is how you hedge your portfolio. I heard that this is how you get a volatility index. I heard that this is that. No. Now is not the time for all of that. Now is the time for you to relax and let your things run its course. Do not overreact. And plus, the most important thing is for you to control the things that you can control. You can't control the Fed. You can't control the things that are happening in Ukraine. You can't control inflation. You can't control all of these things. Control the things you can control. The things like your monthly budget. How much are you spending? How much are you saving? Those things that are in your control. Those things you have control over, and you put your work into those things, not everything else, because everything else is going to do what everything else is going to do. You stay focused on the things that you can actually have your hands over. It doesn't mean that you go overboard in trying to be overly obsessive and trying to control these things, but you handle the things that you know you ought to be handling right in front of you. But anyway, that's all I got for y'all. I hope y'all learned one, maybe two things out of this entire thing. Please do not freak out. And like I said at the beginning of this, have a little bit of perspective, and please keep Ukraine in your prayers. I really hope that by the time you guys are watching this video, that the things that are going on in Ukraine are basically dying out and people are not suffering anymore and nobody is dying, that Russia just kind of called it off. But I just prayers for Ukraine. I just pray that God will just protect everyone over there. And I pray that things will just end fast. I just pray it would end fast because I don't know, man. We've lived in a world where people finally started understanding that wars are not good for anybody. Wars are absolutely not good for anybody. Nobody wins when you go to war. So I don't know. We finally got to a stage in the history of the world where we've seen massive growth, massive development, because guess what? We weren't going to wars anymore. We weren't fighting each other on a grand scale anymore. Because we understood that everybody takes a massive L when anyway, I'm just going to stop because I'm going on a whole diatribe. But anyway, I'm going to catch y'all up on the next one. Remember, generosity is always greater than greed. God bless each and every single one of y'all, and I'm out. Peace.